Welcome back to Real Talk with Casey and JoJo. What's up, Casey?
Hello, Jojo.
Hello. We are doing part 2 of astrology in the Bible. So I hope that with the first part, you were able to digest some of that information before we move on to the rest of where we left off. So let's take a look at where we left off.
But what good does that do?
Why is it important?
Why is it important? Why do I need to understand the stars and how it relates to my physiology and the cerebrum all the way down to Pisces, my feet? Why does that matter?
If you don't know yourself, I'm sorry, but know thyself. Seek first the kingdom, Matthew 6:33. Where's the kingdom? The kingdom is within you. How can you know yourself completely if you don't understand the workings of yourself, if you don't understand the workings around where you live or what you're on? Like, if you don't understand that, like, what do you understand? Seriously, because what good is it to understand other things if you can't understand yourself, how you function, why all of a sudden I'm feeling some type of way today? Yeah. Oh, because energetically, this is what's happening above. Oh, that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's just a guide. Yeah,
and I'm going to say something that's probably blasphemy as well, but it is how I feel. Because I think the answer to that question for me, and kind of the conclusion of why I put so much time and energy into this myself, is that, you know, understanding this information helps you have the knowing that I am not just some random nothing of 7 billion people that was basically grown out of an ape, right? That lives in the middle of a universe that's just unfathomable in terms of the size of it. And we're just a little speck in a little planet called Earth.
And things just happen to be
floating in space at a tremendous speed. And it just happens to be that way, right? Because that's really what Big Bang Theory and you know, evolution has really taught us. But it's not, I don't believe that's true, right? Like we have a God-like ability within us. And this is where the blasphemy comes in. Am I saying that we are God? No, of course not. We are a piece of God. You know, if
we're a drop.
This glass of water cannot compete with the ocean, but it's still water. It still has the properties of God. We have the properties of God.
We have light within us.
And what I've learned is why do I need to know astrology? Why do I need to understand what the fuck we're talking about? Because understanding astrology helps you understand the path to reach the whole fucking point of us being on this planet, which is to create a perfect body through living through multiple lives, fixing ourselves all along the way, breaking old habits, breaking negative karma, building our bodies up to be a perfect machine the way they were designed to be. And once that's done, you essentially are that piece of God living on earth, living in heaven, because you have mastered the game, right? And if you think astrology is the devil, you basically at the starting line, right? Like, I mean, I don't know. I don't know how else to put it.
But you know,
and I'm gonna add, I want to ask the question, right?
I don't know,
because this is something that, you know, I've really grappled with, because again, I grew up in the church, like, you know, just right? Think about your story, right? God sends you to hell if you don't act right, if you don't do right, if you don't be right.
That is so man-made. Right?
And if you do right, whatever the fuck that means, right? Then suddenly you can live eternally. You have to earn your right back to heaven. You came from heaven, but you have to prove yourself to earn your right back to heaven. It's not really a game I want to play, right? Like, it just doesn't sound
it's
cool.
It's more about experience.
Like, you know, when we had kids, man, it's like, if you have kids, would you send your kids out to play that game? You could go to hell forever. I'll never see you again if you fail at this game, but I love you. Good luck. It's bullshit. It doesn't make any sense. Versus the story we're telling, that the story that we believe is the story that's being told. And that is, here's a roadmap for how to master your life, master your existence. Here's a roadmap in a way that you could become godlike on this plane of earth. And you could basically master the game. You just have to follow the rules. Here they are. They're hidden. You're going to have to do some work. You're going to have to do some things to get there. But if you put in the work and you do what you do, eventually you're going to get there. Because the shitty part is, and this is kind of the conclusion that I came to, if you believe in reincarnation and you believe in all this stuff that we're talking about, guess what? I ain't got no choice. I'm just going to keep coming back, right? Is that how it goes? Do you believe the same?
Oh, yeah.
You just keep coming back and coming back and coming back until you master the game. So fuck it. I'd rather go ahead and get on that and master it so we can get back.
mastering self, mastering just understanding. And really it's like, I don't know. I would say if you put a lot of like, and I'm not gonna label all astrologers this and all astrologers that. There's good and evil within everything.
No doubt.
But going back to the times of way before, they looked at this like a clock. I mean, the hours are basically Horus, hours, Horus. So that's the sun. They're looking at where the sun is, and therefore, you know what time it is. I mean, I pretty much keep track of the time based on where the sun is now. I don't look at a clock anyway. And that's what they did, right? They're looking at where the placement of the sun was. That's this whole sundial thing, right? And then the moon, there's many moons, there's many mansions, moons within each house. And so that is the way to track also, a lot of things.
Yeah, and I want to interrupt you. I'm sorry, because I think it's super important. I'd ask you, right? Like if you're of the opinion that you're kind of iffy on astrology, we've been told we believe God is perfect. Yes, God is perfect. There are no errors in God. How I would say that the sky is the same way. Yes, it has been the same for how many years?
Forever.
Forever. It has been the same. But back 4,000 years ago when supposedly Jesus walked, or 2,000 years ago when Jesus walked this planet, he looked at the same shit we did. So what does that tell me? That tells me that that's perfection, right? It's perfection because it's immovable. It does not change. It cyclically follows the same exact pattern year after year
To
after
show
year
you the
after year.
roadmap until you figure out that you have that same
And
roadmap within you.
right. And if that is perfection, then that is of God. How can it be devilish? I don't get it.
Hebrews 6:1 says, move on from the doctrines and move on to perfection. The doctrines are based on these beliefs that have been passed down through generations. And one really easy way to realize and to decipher and discern whether, the belief is true or not is, does it feel heavy? Does it weigh you down? Does it make you feel not good? Because that right there is telling you have an erroneous belief. Maybe you need to look into it, because everything is love. Everything that feels heavy, dense, or draining or whatever is not love. It's coming from erroneous beliefs and conditioning. And that's what we're trying to break free from.
Right. And I want to ask you a question, because do you think that emotions are primarily negative? In other words, like anger, disgust, hate, those are all emotions. Those are all a sign that my physical body, my state of mind, my spirit is broken and needs some love, right?
It just
it needs to
means
be
that
fixed. It needs to be
it's
worked
energy
on.
in motion, but it's going in the wrong way.
Okay.
The motion is going on the wrong path. And that's kind of like your roadmap telling you, hey, you're going the wrong way. Hey, you're going, it's a GPS
Okay.
system.
And so what then is the emotion of love? The emotion of bliss? Is that an emotion, or is that a state of being that an emotion was created to want to basically show
To
us that
let
we
you
are in
know
that
that
state
we
of
are
being?
in alignment. Yes.
Do you agree with that?
Yes.
Because I think that, like, I think too, like one of the big sort of mistakes is that we're taught and we're programmed that happiness is an emotion, that love is an emotion, that all the opposites are emotions, when I don't, they're state of beings, right? Like that's the way we're supposed to be all the time. An emotion, because it's negative, takes me out of the state of being and lets me know that I'm drifting out of my perfected state. Therefore, the negative emotion should show me that I need to do something to get back here.
Right.
Correct. But because we believe that happiness and those things are an emotion, then it almost puts them on a level playing field, and they're not at all.
Wait, but
You feel me?
happiness is an emotion. Like feeling happy is an emotion, but it's a part of a roadmap showing us our alignment.
Right. Which is the way we're supposed to be.
Right.
We should be in a constant state of love and happiness. Anytime we're out of that alignment, that emotion, that state of being, it's because something's wrong.
Right. The state of being would be like being in the vortex, would be like being in alignment. That is our state of being, of our natural state of being, of our God self. Then you add the human self with the ego and all that, and there you go with our emotions.
Right. Which are meant to be
That's
lessons.
why you're supposed to sacrifice your five senses, and therefore your emotions, to go within, seek first the kingdom being within yourself, going within, so that you can commune with your spiritual self, with your Holy Spirit, with the spirit, which is non-physical. So you have to step away from the physical realm and see this with your inner vision, with your inner single eye. If thy eye be single, your whole body shall be filled with light. There's the light spectrum. Your whole body is filled with God, with light. If you are to close your eyes from this physical world, go into the non-physical world so that you can commune with the non-physical self, which is your Holy Spirit.
And you basically do that by shutting off your emotions, shutting off your thoughts, essentially mastering the mind muscle to shut out the senses and go.
But who are the most emotional?
What do you mean? I don't know. That's not what? Who?
What I'm saying is those that are basically the ones to tell you you're the devil, this is bad. It's all emotional. It's based on emotions. This is how mind control happens. You get to persuade and influence somebody's somebody's state of being by emotions. And so the point is that if you're getting emotional about it, there's a false belief there that you need to look at.
Yes. And it's funny too, because I think, like, for me, just thinking about as I hear you say these things, and then thinking about my journey, and thinking about, because we used to be the same way, right? Like, you just spit that venom, and it like satisfies this part of you,
right?
But thinking about our path, it's like, man, I totally forgot what I was going to say. This happens every time.
Our path.
Oh man.
Speaking about our path.
Yeah, it's like, I'm just gonna ramble until it comes out. So thinking about our path, right? It's like it's not. It's gone. Continue.
It's totally gone.
It's gone. It's gone, man.
We started off like that, like most people, I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
Not understanding, being judgmental. It's kind of programmed in us because we are programmed since birth to follow a certain religion, right? One versus the other, versus the other, versus the other. It's this mentality of being separated. It's division. It's not really unity and oneness, which is what God is.
Right. It was along those lines.
So when you look at the zodiac, you can look at it in compartments, and you can look at the seasons, the 4, you can look at the 4 elements. You can also look at the 12, or you can just look at the whole thing as a whole. What does this entire year look like? Right? Not to mention the fact that our days of the week in our lives are based on the planets, right? We have Monday, the moon, Tuesday is Mars, Wednesday is Mercury, Thursday is Jupiter, Friday is Venus, Saturday is Saturn, and then Sunday's the sun. Like, hello, that is part of our
laced in society.
It's laced in everything. Everything. And I think it just takes putting that guard down. First of all, don't listen to me. Close your eyes, go within yourself, and truly find that little voice inside that's like going to soften you up enough to open your mind to the truth, period. However you want to look at that, however you want to see truth. Truth is understanding light. Light are the little things that we see up there when we go outside at night. And that is all that we're studying. That is the study of astrology. And it helps to understand yourself. It helps to understand. It says it in the Bible. It's laced. If you truly want to understand how it is connected, we have, number 1, a free workshop. I'll post it in there in the comments. The hidden meanings of Christmas, that show you a complete replica of how the scriptures relate to every sign and the sun. And then if that interests you and you want to learn even more, you're very much welcome to join the QE Academy, where we have classes nonstop on all of this with scriptures. Tonight is Theology Thursday. On Sunday is Metaphysical Meanings, where we go over different things like Noah's Ark, the Garden of Eden. We're doing right now a series on Jesus and the fig tree and what it truly means metaphysically. So, if you truly want to understand astrology, not to mention the 12 cell salts that have to do with astrology as well, consider joining the QE Academy, because you will learn a lot and you will start to decondition yourself from these false beliefs, and you will feel liberated. You will feel free. And that's the whole point. Seek and you shall find. And it's like
Yeah, and I
this whole
think
freedom, this whole
yeah, and I think
liberation.
it speaks to, you know, syncretism, right? I mean, I don't know if anybody knows what that is, but like she's a pro at syncretism, but essentially it's just everything is the same. Everything is just a blend of everything else. Like you start getting into numerology, for example,
Right. And that's
and
all in the Bible too.
let's just throw out the seven, right? The number seven.
Yeah.
There's how many chakras?
7,
How many planets?
7,
How many days of the week?
7,
What else? How many major organ systems?
7,
Seven.
the glands.
The
Yeah.
glands, right? Like the brain, the heart, the stomach, whatever, kidneys,
The
spleen,
adrenals. Yeah.
something, whatever. But it's like you start to like, it's not by chance, man. It's this, it's the perfection. It's the perfection that we talked about in the sky is perfected in our human body, which ironically enough, our goal is to attain perfection.
Yes, not to mention 12, which is the completeness, right? The whole, the 12 signs, the 12 tribes, the 12 disciples, the 12 cranial nerves, the 12 months of the year, like the 12, so much. What else? So much. I'm going to blank.
You have exhausted my knowledge.
Yes, but the point is that all of this, like when you start looking at the Bible with an open mind, you will see that those numbers come up, that you will see that things add up to certain things, like 9 being the number of consciousness. When you understand that, you'll start seeing that 9 pop everywhere. Like, for example, you know, the fish cast what is it? Cast the net to the right side and you shall find, because they're trying to cast the net to get some fish, and they find how many? 153 fish. When you add 1 + 5 + 3, you get 9. And it's telling you, this is telling you about consciousness, about casting your focus to the right hemisphere, which means to the spirit, not to the mind. Again, this is going back to the stars, the ego and the higher self, the mind or the spirit. And this is all about the spirit, but everybody's stuck in their mind.
Yeah, I want to share this. It's completely off base. You probably will might get mad at me for saying this, but like, it's interesting, right? Like the Bible was written 2000 years ago, right? It was translated from what was it? Hebrew? Transferred to Hebrew. The Greeks translated it from Hebrew, right? So it's been translated and translated and translated. But my point is like, go next time, take your favorite rap song, right? Or any song for that matter. But rap song, I think, is the best way to do it. And just read the lyrics, right? Now, from your position of knowledge and timing, you understand what those lyrics mean because you live and you communicate that way. Now take that and give that lyric to your grandmother and have her read it and see if she understands a damn word it said. Now, why doesn't she? Because she doesn't speak that language. She doesn't understand the nuances. She can't read between the lines of the language, the slang, the dark sayings, the alternative meanings that are in that. Is it not possible that the Bible operates in the same way, right? That the Bible was written in such a way that we can't comprehend it the way it was originally intended to be comprehended because we don't speak the same language. We don't speak in the same way. It's a different dialect. It's a different time, on and on and on.
That's why there's the esoterics that do understand what it really means, that teach it. And then there's the exoteric for the masses who just don't have time for that.
But that, you know, being able to understand the lyric the way it was intended to be understood is kind of what all this is. And it's so liberating, man, to read it and to just understand that, you know, I'm not condemned to hell if I don't act right. It doesn't work that way, man. And it's so liberating to get out of that mindset. Of
Santa Claus, right? Be good and you'll get presents.
Right. It's not, you know, it's not an if then, it's just a then. You'll get there at some point. It's up to you, right? And I think that's the lesson. And I think that's the value and the freedom that you gain by trying to seek this knowledge and understand it on a bigger scale, grander scale.
I don't know, but I would just want to understand the stars that are going by, you know, like, I don't know. It's fascinating. And especially when you start seeing how it correlates with your own cycle, like you know, getting into TMI here, but like my menstruation cycle is so aligned with the moon. And I love looking at the fact that on certain times when the moon is I don't know if it's waning or waxing, but that's when I'm ovulating. And then when it's really getting to that full moon, that's when I'm, bleeding. And I can look at the moon and know when these things are happening inside my body. And
Yeah.
and it's like clockwork.
Yeah, no doubt. And there's it's like you imagine living in a time where you have no lights, right? You only have candles, right? Which you have to use sparingly. So you live in a time where
After
there's no
totality,
television,
I
right?
guess.
There's no cell phones, there's no watches, and all I do is look up, and I have to use my intuition, right? I have to use that deeper understanding of where are we, when are the crops need to be sowed, with this, that, and the other. I mean, there was a time we were talking about this the other day, right? Like there was a time when a watch, like if you had a watch, if you knew what time it was down to the minute, like you were rich because watches were so fucking expensive. Right now, we dismiss it. Time is just time. We don't look up. We don't understand the the way the systems and the design was set up and how cyclical everything is because we're
Well, we've
we
also
think we
been
know.
lied to about a
We
lot
think
of
we know,
things too.
right? The time of the day is all I'm concerned about, and the bigger clock is just irrelevant. That's witchcraft. It's crazy, man. It's
And it's
crazy.
funny how it's just labeled as that. And it's like, well, what is that? Well, what is witchcraft? Well, what is all this? It's like a lot of people say things without understanding what these things are. And that's what's like,
Yeah. Yeah, because it's programming. I mean, that's what it is. If you're emotionally triggered, it's because you're programmed, and that's a you thing. Only you can fix that, And we're all programmed on some way, shape, or form.
very much
And
so.
guess what? You fix one program, you got another one to fix, and you got another one to fix, and you got another one to
But that's the
fix.
whole point of
But
life.
that's the point. And yeah, and each time you fix it,
It's
life
like
gets
getting
better.
updates.
Yeah,
Yeah.
life gets better, life gets easier, and being able to see it and understand it is just fucking magical, man. Like I can't imagine like what it'd be like to have even like I feel like I'm at like 50%, 60%. What does 90% look like? Like what does that feel
No,
like?
and do you imagine where you are now and where you were before understanding astrology? And like, could you see yourself now? Like, if you were to go back to that and just,
Oh, I
if,
remembered what I was gonna say. Oh, I'm
yes.
so happy. So yeah, it's like I think when you get to the point where you can rise above yourself and see yourself almost from a higher perspective. So, like in an argument, for example, or like when you get triggered and you can stop for a second and go, hold up,
Mm,
and just see the situation for what it is. It's like when you watch, like if I watch her and one of my kids fight and I'm not emotionally into it, I'm like, oh my God, really? Like, really? This is so stupid.
but
Could you
then
guys
when you
just
do
stop?
it, well,
But
when
when
you
you
do
in
it,
it, like game on, man. Like
and I'm like,
game
really?
on. Fists up, let's go. But yeah, it's like so being able to have that skill, and that's what quieting the mind does, right? That's we have to be able to gain control of our mind in such a way that when we're triggered, we can immediately recognize it for what it is and analyze it for what it is, which is what an emotion was intended to do, not react to it. Because the minute you react to that emotion, and this is what we talk about in the academy with cell salts, you've got 12 inorganic salts that exist in your body to help your body function at a perfect way. Each time you react to a negative emotion, those salts are degraded, those salts are
Depleted.
wasted, they're depleted, yes, and they have to be refurnished or replenished, right? So your body is not able to function as perfect each and every time you react to an emotion.
Mm,
If you getting triggered by an Instagram post, I can't imagine what else pisses you off, right? So you're like constantly getting triggered and you're depleted and in a constant state of depletion. That's why we have sickness. That's why we have all the things that we have.
mm,
But in order to the first step, the first step is to rise above it, rise above your ego and learn to control your mind. Because the minute you can see your ego and you learn how to comfort it and you learn how to put it to sleep all without having to react, that's the minute that things start happening. And that's the minute that the magic starts and your mind, I think, starts to open to, oh shit, like there's something to this, right? Like it's cool, man. But you gotta want it. You gotta want to take that walk.
yeah. So I hope that this might be like a teaser. I don't know. Um,
Teaser.
I don't know, like just a something to open their mind and go, okay, maybe there's something to this. Maybe not. Maybe they left a long time ago. It doesn't matter. But the point is that somebody is intrigued. Somebody wants to know more.
Hopefully.
that is the whole reason we
Can
do
get my
these.
finger over? Hopefully.
That is the whole reason we do these. And that's it. Like, if it helps somebody, then great.
It's all
And
love, no judgment.
that's all it's about. It's
Take it or
about,
leave it.
what is the common denominator? That's all we're looking at here.
And if you made it this far, then
love.
you obviously want to start the journey. So thank you. Good luck. Hopefully, if you have anything you want us to talk about or share, hit us up. Let us know.
And then I do also want to mention my book, Spring Manifestation, because we're about to do the second book, Summer Love, which we just talked about in season 2. But it is great to start off reading Spring Manifestation before you get to book number 2. And Spring Manifestation breaks down every single month and how the energies influence us on a day-to-day basis, and really gets you to understand astrology in a very basic way and also in a very deep way. So that's a great start if you are interested in learning a little bit more about us and a little bit more about
it's crazy as
stars.
you're sitting there saying that. I'm like, yo, your book is nothing but what we talked about. It's the journey of the ego.
I know.
It's the journey of our egos.
I know.
That's what it is.
Isn't that crazy?
It's crazy. It's crazy.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Peace.